All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of This Week in Charts via Carnival Trades and Wall Street for Main Street. If you're not done so already, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon, and come find me on carnivaltrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week. So markets here with a red week, not by a ton, but you can see a little thin doji being printed there on the weekly candle. So equal buyers to sellers, as we did hit that whole round number of 6,700. We also hit QQQ 600. We talked about that obviously last week. We had just a kind of a euphoria rally on Monday. You can just see that huge pump there. And then we have come back in since then and retested the 20-day moving average. We're watching this level right now pretty closely around 66.50. That is a little bit of a kind of a short-term line in the sand here for bulls and bears. And you can see it was defended this morning. And it's certainly holding right now as we get into the afternoon. So that will be an important level to watch. Going into the weekend, though, we've got definitely a little bit of headlines here. A lot of chirping going on about Russia. I'm wondering if there is going to be any sort of news over the weekend. There's been a lot of kind of war drum talk and things of that nature, specifically with the EU and Russia. And we did see oil catch a little bit of a bid. It is off the highs today, but it has rallied. And it has had a nice breakout. And you're seeing energy stocks continue to break out as well. There's XLE up 1% today, breaking out of that channel. And XOP, OIH, same thing. OIH is finally going to get that weekly close above 260. So energy stocks starting to perk up here. And finally, just firming up here nicely. So they have come back very well. We also seen rally in platinum, new highs there, not new all-time highs, but fresh, local highs in palladium here, rallying as well. Russia, big exporter here. So I'm wondering if there's maybe just some, it could always be noise. The war drum talk is always, there's just a lot of noise involved in that stuff. So always take it with a grain of salt. There's also the government shutdown stuff too. Markets, sometimes they care, sometimes they sell off into these events pretty hard, and sometimes they don't. But, it's worth mentioning. And on Poly Market now, I believe the odds are up to like 82%. So it does look like we're going to get that. Again, it's neither here nor there whether or not it affects the market. Again, like I said, in the short term, we'll just look at 66.50 and, bears can play a little defense there. Maybe they can work this back down towards that 6,500 handle in the end of quarter. But we had, a decent little sell the last 3 days, and spiders are still holding trend right now at the moment. And, we'll just leave it at that for now. But if we start to lose these lows here, specifically the FOMC low at 65.55, I think we could see a bigger corrective move. Some other news going on this week, not really chart related, but things that I think are noteworthy. FINRA now finally removed the $25,000 day trading rule. And I think that was a kind of a stupid rule anyway, because there's nothing stopping you from full porting your entire account into an ODTE. But God forbid someone takes a SPY day trade with $20,000 instead of 25. So just interesting stuff there that will be into effect pretty soon, I believe. Some other stuff too. Again, not really related to charts here, but just some things I thought were interesting. This is just wild statistics here. 90% of capital spending growth in the U.S. here, 80% of earnings growth is just from AI capex. And we know how bifurcated the economy is, but that is just a wild statistic to me. And you see a lot of stocks right now that are not in bull markets. We know that it's Mag 7 versus the 493, but it's just crazy. And you have to think about if that was 50% lower, how much of a recession will we be in right now? And how much of a recession is the real economy in versus just the stock market? But anyway, nonetheless, just some things that I found interesting here. But yeah, those are the levels we are watching here in the near term. QQQ, again, a short-term level I'm watching is 590. That got tested yesterday. It is holding right now. So that's a level we'll be watching. And again, there is some call interest, a lot of call interest at 6,500. And the reason I bring up the government shutdown and the Warhawk stuff is because there is, if we see a gap down Monday, it would not surprise me to see them close us here by end of quarter, which would be the 30th. So again, you know, market is up, trend is up. You have to respect that, but just be aware of those things here in the near term. Outside of that here, we had the Russell 2000 again. That made a new all-time high last week, but no follow through. Again, it went straight into double top, right? I mean, with no pullback here on the weekly. So it's not surprising that I had to have a little pause there. And that is, again, holding the 20 MA for now. So again, no damage there. Same thing with the Dow that has pulled back, but still has an inside bar. And again, 458 is still our level. You can see that tested yesterday. SMH continuing to hold up here. Intel, yeah, I guess they're just going to Ponzi this thing up here, and we're just going to pay for it. So again, more bad behavior just gets rewarded. And yeah, that's the economy we're in here. And that's the, you know, it's like we're just state sponsoring these companies now. I don't know what to say. Anyway, but Intel getting a nice bid. TSM, little evening star there, though, on Tuesday. So the gap up, doji, and then a pullback there. So it's kind of testing these pivots right now, and 20 MA is around 260. Below that's 250. It's a big semiconductor, so if that does come in, that could pull the semis down. But little reversal there. IGV, again, backing off, but holding trend, looking for a higher low on the daily chart as well. Then we have the transports here. Again, I thought we would trend this week, but we didn't. It's been sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sideways days, and we've got, what, like 3 weeks of this? So this is ready for trend here. It's just a matter of what direction. You know, on the weekly you have, on the weekly you've got that big red inside bar. So that is, you know, there's a lot of sellers there, but you do have higher lows on the other side of it. So it could go either way here. Interest rates, again, we talked about this here, but, you know, this was the FOMC day, and the 2-year yield has gone up. The Fed is cutting, right? And yields are going higher across the board, all durations. So this is not a good thing. So, you know, yields right here on the 30 better hold at 475. And you better hope they go down, because if they go back up, it's not a good sign at all. That marked a low the last time too that they cut. Anyway, XHB up 1.41 today. It lost the 50 MA, but it is getting a bounce. And you know, weekly chart is still all right here. I don't like closing it below that green bar though. So not in love with that. We have IYR still very tight. This is coiled for trend as well. We had XLF again, breaking this kind of wedge here, and then right back on top of that. These things are notorious for fake outs on both sides. So XLF getting a good bounce here. KRE tight range this week, and again still holding steady at 64. Broker dealers, again tight range there as well. Some commodity stocks here. Uranium is on the move. A little reversal here in CCJ. URA, we had SMR coming in, and the big one was Oklo. And very, very good sell here. I want to show you this too. I know a lot of you guys like this company. They'll be fine in the long term, but they're kind of like pre-revenue. Insider selling big time. Michael Klein is a big PE guy. He's a World Economic Forum guy. And I looked this up here. He sold almost 30% of his stake. So just be aware of that. That's a pretty big distribution there. Massive euphoria here. So a lot of gains getting pulled forward in these. Just be careful with them. I think the bull case is very much intact for uranium long term, but it can take a long time to grow into that. I mean, if you look at CCJ, for instance, you know, the last time it got really, you know, it had a really nice run. You know, look how long it took to really get going again. It took it like over a year. So they can take, you know, they can stall out, and they can take a long time to get back going. So just be aware of that. Be a little careful up here. But yeah, crazy moves in that space. We have oil we talked about on the move there. We mentioned XLE and all those names. Those look really good to me on these bigger time frames too, like the monthly. This is like really coiled up here. Interested to see if this can break this range over. That is going to trend for a long time. All right, dollar index again Fed cut right here, and we've gone off the lows. We reclaimed to 98 on the weekly close. So dollar holding up well. And we've got precious metals here really doing well here. Gold up about 1% today. It's off the highs. That's not the story, though. The story is silver. We touched 46.94. Earlier this week, I was joking. I said I wouldn't be surprised to see it at 50 by the end of the week, and it almost got there. So it's probably headed up there very shortly. Not that far off now. Might even have a gap up Monday. We'll see. So credible moves there. There's SIL, SILJ. Lower highs in GDX, so just be aware of that. Not the end of the world, but these moves are they're pretty long in the tooth. But I would not fade them at all. We talked about platinum, beautiful breakout there. Gotta adjust this back lines, but yeah, we talked about the wedge, and yeah, it broke bull, so very nice. Palladium still hasn't made a high yet, but again, the chart still looks pretty good here. Beautiful rounded bottom there. Higher lows now. Trend is starting to turn. We had copper also breaking out a little bit this week. Been looking for that 200 moving average to tag for a long time. It finally moved. We got to 480. We got to 493, and now we're just kind of settling below 480. So copper finally, volatility had to come in that. It couldn't be in that tight of a range for a long time. But yeah, nice little rebound there. Overall, let's not make too much out of it though. And then Bitcoin, this took a little bit of a dive. So did Ethereum, but they are bouncing here. So I don't like, I told you guys about this bull bear line. I said if ETH loses 42.07, it's going to go down, and that's what happened. So it's holding the 100-day. It's holding this, 38.70, 38.80, we'll call it. I like it a lot better at this trend line, though, if we can get it there. I would love for that. That would be a nice swing to me, I think. And then Bitcoin here, again, lower highs. It's been lagging the stock market for sure. Perhaps that's a leading sign here. But through this pivot low, you got another, you got that 106 area, and then the 200-day, not that far off. So anyway, we'll see what happens next week. We've got jobs coming out. Market will obviously key off of that. Immediate short term, we're looking at 66.50 SPX for bulls to reclaim. But again, if these lows go here, I think we could see a little bit of trend, possibly down towards that 50-day. Market hasn't had a proper pullback in a long time. And we'll see if that does get going here in October. So anyways, guys, we'll wrap it up here. Again, don't forget you can find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and I'll see you guys all next week.